Top 5 things to do right after you arrive in Australia. Hello again. So here's my list of the top 5 things to do right after you arrive in Australia, preferably in the first 1 week, okay? Now, some of the things on this list that I'm gonna be saying might sound so simple, but then I realized that these are essentials, and yeah, we tend to overlook them, and sometimes only when your employer or someone asks us for it do we realize, oh, I should have applied for it earlier, see? So because of that, I thought I'll compile this in a video and put it up so that you can take bullet point notes and keep it on your phone, or just come back and watch this video when it's time for you to come here. Yeah, so yeah, here's my list. Let's start now. Number 1 on the list, of course, is the SIM card. I would suggest that if you arrive here early and you're not too tired, just get it done on the day of arrival itself, or if not, the next day. Okay, you don't really need to have much documentation. Just take a printout copy of your passport and your visa document along with your originals, and then head to the nearest store of the provider of your choice and just get it done. Now, based on where you're planning on living in Australia, I would suggest that you pick a provider that has the best mobile network coverage in that area. We will think that Australia in, no, and then they may not have fallback, voice breakage, or slow network issue, but boy, am I wrong. So just try to pick up a provider that has the best network coverage, especially in the area you're planning on living. Now, it's good to get your mobile number sorted out on the first day or the second day itself, because then you not only can update your family back home, but also I feel that you can have a number to provide in all the things that you'll be applying in the next few days, like TFN, driver's license, etc., right? And also when you're applying for a job, you have a number to give them to get back to you. So yeah, just get it done within the first 1 or 2 days. That's number 1. Number 2 on the list is opening a bank account. Now, even this one, I would highly recommend get it done in the first few days, okay? Because if you open your bank account within the first few days of arrival in Australia, they don't necessarily ask for so much identification proof. All you have to take is your passport original, but just to be safer, even take a printed copy of your passport and visa document, right? However, if you apply it after weeks of arriving in Australia and staying in Australia, then when you open a bank account, they ask for a lot of identification proof, like credit card or bank card, driver's license, birth certificate, etc., right? And not every one of us is going to be having all these documents sorted. So if you can save yourself that trouble right after arriving here, why do you want to put yourself through that, right? So try to get your bank card done within the first few days. It also helps that you'll be able to get a card with which you can pay everywhere, right? Because everywhere you have to use your card to pay, and the card takes about, I think, 7 to 10 business days to arrive. Now, if you have the time, I would suggest that after like about 7 days, just try to call the bank and ensure that they have posted your card in the right address. Because in my case, like, I waited for I think 10 days only to find out that the bank has posted my card in the wrong postal address. So it took about a month for me to get my card, and sometimes, you know, when I was moving around to work and like the shop wasn't accepting, I think, cash, I had to go through days like without lunch. So I think it doesn't really make sense for yourself to put through that. So if you have the time, just call the bank and try to see if they have posted it in the right address. That's number 2. Number 3 on the list is the taxpayer number. That is TFN, right? Now, you would need your TFN before you start work so that your employers can deduct tax on your wage. Meaning, once you apply for work, then your employers are going to be asking for your TFN number. So try to get it done within the first few weeks, right? It is free and you can just apply for it yourself on the Australian taxation website, where they give links and all the steps on how to do it, right? So just get it done. Now, I think your TFN takes about 28 days for it to be ready. However, here's the tip. What if you get a job within 28 days and then you don't have a TFN number, and then your employer asks for your TFN number? So one thing is you can request your employer to wait until the 28 days, or if it has already been a week or two, then what I would suggest is just call the Australian taxation phone number and just ask if you can get your TFN, okay, because you need it. Now if it is ready, they give it. So instead of waiting for 28 days, you can just do that as well. Now mind you, calling anywhere in Australia on the contact number takes minimum of 30 minutes. So it might take you about an hour before they actually talk to you on the phone, but I think it's worth it, and that's something you can do as well. So that's regarding TFN number. Now I think we are on the third, right? Now the fourth on the list is the Myki. So Myki is your travel card if you are going to be using public transport and travel in buses, trams and trains. So I think it costs about $10, and yeah, you can get it from select stops and stations or most of the 7-Eleven stores. And after getting the physical card, what you can do is you can top it up with money and use it based on the frequency that you travel, or if you're going to be traveling consistently or frequently, then you can also choose to buy weekly or monthly passes, which are much more affordable. Now there is a way whereby you can just buy the physical paper ticket in the train station if you don't want to buy a Myki, but in my own experience, when you are trying to catch a train everywhere in Australia, you have to wait in line, so it does not really make sense for you to wait in a line to get a physical paper ticket and then miss that train and then waste time in waiting for another bus or train. So in that way, I personally prefer buying a Myki, even if I'm going to be using it, you know, only once in a while. Now if you are coming to Melbourne and you are planning on using the public transport, then you definitely would need it. And even if you're planning to buy a car in the next few months or so, then you can still get one from your friends and use it. That's regarding Myki. And that brings us to our last topic on the list, and that is driver's license, right? Now if you already have an international driving license and that is valid, which means it hasn't expired, try to get your license within the first 6 months of your arrival in Australia, okay? Because if you apply for and get your driver's license within the first 6 months of your arrival in Australia, then they allow you to directly give test, and if you pass, then you have your license. Whereas if you apply for it like after 6 months, then you are treated like a new driver. So which means you need 120 hours of supervised driving, which also includes driving at night. In that way, before you can actually give test, there are 3 types of tests you have to give, right? So before you can give the test, you have to have 120 hours of supervised driving, and trust me when I say this, it's so difficult to find someone who can supervise you to drive and also find a car and just get all of that sorted. It's such a hassle. So why not save yourself the trouble and also the money when you can just easily get it done within the first 6 months? So that's regarding driving license. Even if you are not planning on buying a car anytime soon, just get your license done. That's all I can say. I think that's about it. I actually thought maybe I'll also include the checks and the certificates, but I think that's going to make the video quite long, so maybe I'll do it as the next video. These are the top 5 essential things that you can get it done as soon as you arrive in Australia, so that it helps you be organized, prepared to start your life in Australia. I hope you find this helpful. Until again, bye.